The NCAA is finally allowing student athletes to cash in. How will this impact startups? Will cybersecurity save your business from the Russian cyber attacks? And the hottest investment sectors that will thrive thanks to millennials. Our mission is to bring together the best venture capitalists to compete so you have the insights on how to invest with the best. Now let's meet our venture capitalists jumping in the Thunderdome. Elliot Robinson, partner at Bessemer, just announced 2 new funds totaling $3.3 billion, co-author of Bessemer's iconic 10 Laws of Cloud Computing. Lolita Taub, general partner, the Community Fund, a $5 million early stage fund investing in community-driven companies. Been a part of the Silicon Valley ecosystem for 15 years and also a scout at Lightspeed Ventures. Matt Conwell, Rare Breed Ventures, known as your favorite VC's favorite VC, and owner of the best VC Twitter in the game, runs a $10 million fund investing in underrepresented founders. Nahal Mehta, general partner, ENIAC Ventures, known for getting seed stage companies to Series A faster than any other VC. Just raised their 5th fund, totaling $125 million. And special guest, Tiki Barber, co-founder of Thuzio, and Julius, entrepreneur, co-host of CBS Sports Radio, and legendary New York football giant. We're excited to present another electric show in partnership with Thuzio, featuring 4 past primetime VC champions. Hey Tiki, time to light it up. Let's go. Hot Sectors, powered by M1 Finance. CB Insights recently outlined 12 industries that will thrive thanks to millennials, who are the largest generation in history and hitting their prime spending years. As an investor, pick which industry you think is most exciting and why. We're gonna give it over to Mac to kick us off. Mac Conwell, Rare Breed Ventures. Welcome to the show.
How's it going, everybody? So I know this question, we're talking about industries specifically going towards millennials, but of the list, I'm really interested in skincare, and more than skincare, I'm really interested in men's skincare and specifically men's makeup. What we've seen over the course of the pandemic is a huge jump in the amount of men now wearing makeup because they're tired of seeing themselves on Zoom and seeing all their blemishes. And even though we're talking about millennials, Gen Zers are really about makeup. If you look at the pop charts, most of the male performers on the pop charts wear makeup or at a minimum wear nail polish. So shout out to a Rare Breed portfolio company, Faculty World, just announced raised $3 million making men's makeup, led by Estee Lauder. So shout out to them.
Shout out to Faculty World. I actually just started wearing makeup for the show. It's a guilty, I'm admitting it. All right, guys, I'm not wearing nail polish, but it's all right. Lolita might like that company, though. She has nail polish potentially. Lolita, which industry are you taking here and why?
Okay, I'm going to go back to our traditional sense of capitalism. I think it's all around personal finance, and in particular, the intersection of finance and community. So we are riding on the tailwinds of these community-driven companies. Multiplayer banking is the future. We have 128 million American households who share finances. And what's so interesting, I am a millennial and I'm married. There's 68% of us couples that have some sort of joint account. The problem is that the stuff that's out there is really antiquated, and we have a lot more needs, like taking care of our family members. So that's my pick.
Finance, good pick. M1 Finance is our sponsor, First Republic also, but Finance, great pick. Let's bring it over to Elliot Robinson. Elliot, what is your pick here?
Since Lolita took my answer, I'm going to answer it 2 ways. One, if the question is actually what's the most exciting, then it's adult hard seltzer. Like, that's an obvious answer. It's a healthy way to get turned up, whether you're at home, whether you're back outside post-pandemic. That's the easy answer. But going back to personal finance and fintech, look, I might not be yet the millennial that's buying makeup or fingernail polish. However, my real world is that I live in downtown San Francisco, next to the Chase Center where the Warriors play, and both banks within a 2-block radius have shut down. in the last year. They've taken all the people out of it. It's fully automated. So when I saw BCG say that 26% of millennials rather go to a dentist than go to a bank and hear whatever advice they have, that's where I know millennials are going, and that's where I know they're spending their time.
They're drinking those White Claws, those High Noons, and there's aluminum can shortage too. So that's insane, and you would never think that. Obviously a hot topic right now. Let's go over to Nahal. What do you got here? Hot sector. Which one are you betting on?
What's up, guys? I can kind of relate because I'm a Zennial, I guess. That's between Gen X and Millennial. But I think there's two really interesting trends that are happening. One is post-COVID, I think every category has been reimagined and redefined. And I think you can find brand new businesses in very old state categories that are super exciting because of the new behaviors displayed during the pandemic. And secondly, software is eating the world. So it makes all of these new categories even more interesting and more efficient. I think fast food and specifically the frozen food market and the fast casual market in particular, those areas, everybody's got to eat. People are coming back to the office. We have a company called KitchenMate, for example, that's redefining the food dispensary in the office. And it's completely automated and it's all software driven. So imagine being able to cook a hot gourmet food at the edge with fresh ingredients right from the machine, when you're back in the office. So KitchenMate, okay. That's right.
KitchenMate it is. Good pick over there. We're going to open up the polls right now for the fans to pick their winner. We're going to also go over to Tiki. Tiki, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, do you think who made the best points?
I'm wearing makeup right now. I just did my radio show. We're simulcast on TV. So I wear makeup every day. And I'm not ashamed to say it. So Mac, you're on to something, even though I do love the High Noons because it actually has vodka instead of malt liquor. Those other things have malt liquor, which will mess you up. I almost said the wrong word, but you know what I mean. They're going to mess you up. Fast food, I'm more vain. So I don't know if I'm going to get back into fast food. Mac, you get my point. You get my point because I love vanity and I love men that love to look good. So Mac, you got my point for this one.
And Mac taking Tiki's point. Okay. And we got Lolita taking the fan vote over here. So that's finance right there. Lolita we have 2 points right there. And we're going to give that third point over to Elliot. He's taking 2. Listen, you pick 2. It's fine. I like that. NCAA athletes are embracing a new world of NIL laws. Student athletes can now capitalize on their name, image, and likeness. Barstool Sports, who recorded $100 million in revenue in 2019, jumped all over this rule change by already creating Barstool Athletics. Is this a new marketing channel you're telling your portfolio companies to look into? And what other business opportunities will arise? Elliot, we're going to go over to you for this
100%. So the case study that I think is most important right now is actually Hersey Miller, son of Percy Miller, Master P for those of y'all who are from where I'm from. And he's actually his son is a rising freshman at Tennessee State. Shout out to all the HBCU grads like myself out there. And what's most interesting is he's got a $2 million endorsement deal going into TCU. Again, shout out to the Tigers. And it's not from Nike. It's not Adidas. It's not Apple. So what you're finding is there's new marketing endorsement channels for companies that typically might have a regional spin, a more local spin, a Nashville spin in TSU's case. And that totally opens the game for athletes. And I'm really excited to see where this is going in the future.
Master P, right out the gates. All right. Shout out to Master P. Mac, what do you got here? What are you thinking about this NIL laws, how that's going to affect everything?
So for me, that's super exciting. One, because now we're seeing athletes start to get some earning. There are some issues. There's some political stuff, not going to go there. But from a startup's perspective, startups are always looking for a way to get to new customers. This is going to open up a whole new way to now approach customers. We have been seeing a lot of stuff going through TikTok. We're seeing the explosion of podcasts. Now you're going to see these athletes who are going to have these niche markets that they're going to be able to reach at a very high level. And then also shout out to Kira's story. Lolita, just like Lolita, I'm also a Lightspeed scout. And so one of the companies I invested in from Lightspeed as a scout is a company called Cura Story, which is a platform that allows athletes, both professional and collegiate, to now create easy, on the go advertising embedded into the content they already produced. And so we're going to also see a whole new market of startups come out of this space.
Shout out to founder Tiffany Kelly, doing big things over at Cure Story, making that influencer marketplace as well. Let's go over to Lolita. Your thoughts on this?
So I have to double down on saying that I'm just very happy that people are getting paid. So much time has gone by where people are not getting paid. So first of all, just, hey, I'm so glad for all the college athletes out there. Personally, I'm not really a sports person, but here's the thing that we're telling our community-driven companies is, look, we need to think about your community-driven go-to-market. And if that includes an athlete who, for example, is in a community of sneakers and your company is all about sneakers, then yes, invite them, make them part of it. But it shouldn't be now we have athletes who can get sponsorships, so let's add them. It has to make sense, and it has to help the company make money, because that's what we're doing.
Absolutely. This new wave of entrepreneurship coming into the sports world. Nahal, your thoughts over here on NIL?
Yeah, I think it's obviously amazing. Agree with everything that's said before. I think, the other trend is the rise of these creators. And now, these athletes can actually become their own creators and monetize all of the channels around that. So whether that's on YouTube, TikTok, Cameo, we have a company called SuperPeer. There's so many new channels that didn't even exist 2 years ago. Add that to now their ability to be able to monetize their own likeness, and it's going to be ginormous. It's going to be massive, and we're super excited.
It's nice that it's going to fall into the startup world as well. The polls have opened, so make your votes here who you think has won this question. Tiki, you're close to this, obviously, being in the sports world. Love to hear your thoughts and who you think took this one.
It's very interesting, this space, and it's been a long time coming. The NCAA slow played this, and state and local legislatures took control over it, as did Congress, who introduced a bunch of bills. And so they were forced to, on this July 1 date earlier last week, I should say, to create a blanket statement so student athletes could go make money. Also in their communities, there was examples of kids going to like charity golf games and then getting suspended because they did something outside of the purview of the NCAA. But, I'm going to give this one to Nahal, because I think you hit on something that is really important. Social media platforms have been confined to 2 or 3 right now, but they're starting to grow. You mentioned SuperPeer, which is one. I'm involved with another called Display, where they share ad revenue, 50-50 ad revenue with the influencers, and this obviously will be student athletes. That's where the monetization is going to happen simply. Yes, Master P is awesome, but Master P's little P got that deal because of Master P. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. It's not going to be seamless. Could be a little bit dicey at times, but in a free market system, you need this. And I'm glad it finally is here.
It'll be interesting to see if any gold Trans Ams get dished out a la Eric Dickerson, right? But what we got over here, we got Mac with a point. Nahal got that point. And then the fan vote, we have Nahal getting 2 points. Whoa, big comeback. Look at him, he's celebrating in the background. Good for you, Nahal. You deserve that. Very exciting. Anything else here we missed before we move on?
Yeah, I think there's one thing you also have to mention. A lot of attention was paid to the Supreme Court ruling against the NCAA, but that has nothing to do with name, image, and likeness. It's not saying that schools and universities are able to compensate like employees, these student athletes. That's just saying that schools and universities can now offer an educational benefit that's monetary. So I look at this as a competitive advantage. It may keep some kids in school, quite frankly. For instance, my alma mater has a great business school, Darden. If I was a great athlete, but also a great student, and they offered me, hey, here's your scholarship for 4 years, but if you stick around, we'll give you money to go to Darden as well. I might choose Virginia over West Virginia or Miami or someplace else if they weren't offering the same thing.
Listen, I'm a D3 football all-star. I just want to put that out there. I don't think I got to share that with everybody. But even if they're giving me stingers at Rogan's, the sandwich job right down it helps. Everything helps. So, hey, it's beautiful. Ithaca College, represent. What's a future unicorn within your portfolio that's going to be a company everyone's talking about in the next few years, and why? Lolita, please give us a shout out of one of the community funds portfolio companies.
I have to hate you for this question because all of the TCF companies will become unicorns, damn it. No, but I am going to just share about one. in particular, which I find just like so interesting, Baraka. So there's $500 billion in assets that are going to be transferred to the next generation in the Middle East. And the region is like yearning for this like ability to invest easily. And so what Baraka is doing is providing commission-free stock trading to this next generation and making it in a very community-driven, culturally sensitive way. And so I am super excited for the team. The team is also comes from the background in fintech, and they're just ready to rock and roll.
Baraka getting the shout out there. All rock stars over at the Community Fund. Absolutely. Nahal, you've had quite a run as of late. You're on your 5th fund. I think you were seed and potentially Airbnb. But what's another unicorn that you're gonna bring out?
Climate is kind of top of mind. You guys saw kind of what happened last week with that ring of fire in the ocean from a pipeline explosion. It's ironic that we're mapping our skies. We have never mapped the ocean, and so we don't fully understand what's underwater, the temperature, the currents, the pH level. So we have a company called Bedrock Ocean. Think about it as SpaceX for the ocean. And so we actually fire off our own little missiles and crafts to run ocean surveys. And the number one goal and the only goal of the company is to map the entire ocean so that we can understand it much better. That's called Bedrock Ocean.
Bedrock Ocean. Going to discover aliens down there probably. Jeez, dip it down there. Be careful. Elliot, Bessemer Venture Partners, give us a unicorn that everyone's going to be talking about, please.
Every time I'm on this show, this is the hardest question because I'm the cloud software, enterprise software guy. So I don't have some cool story. But there's only one answer. It's a company out of Burlingame called Implied Data. They're creating a new category called Analytics in Motion. We basically spent the last decade, everyone talking about data, big data, analytics, what are we doing in the enterprise? But the reality is all of it's batch data for the most part. No one knows what to do. All the times we talked about fintech, even Seltzer, sports, social media. You got to figure out how to analyze this data in real time. And FJ Yang down in Burlingame created and co-authored the Apache Druid project, is the most forward-thinking company in the space. I just led a $70 million Series C, not a unicorn yet, but I guarantee you, if we get back on probably 6 to 12 months from now, that'll be the next one everyone's talking about.
Nice. And Elliot's got that Midas touch, which should be noted too. It's not bad. So, yeah. Mac, what do you got here? Rare Breed Ventures. You picked Squarespace in the past, not with Rare Breed, but that is on your resume. Do you have another unicorn to shout out?
So probably what's going to be the first unicorn out of our portfolio is a company called Main Street, but that's a little different than what we typically invest in. So I'm gonna shout out an early stage company called Withpar. If you go to our website, Withpar is a platform that helps gig drivers be able to manage all the different gig accounts they use, while also eventually get to the point where helping them choose the right routes to pick so that they can actually make a livable wage while doing DoorDash or Uber Eats. It is an amazing concept. The founder is one of the early employees from Uber when they first came to Las Vegas. He then went to become a VC and he couldn't get this idea out of his head. And so he made Withpar. And the reason why it's going to be one of the future unicorns, they went from 20,000 users to over 170,000 users over the last 3 weeks. They are ripping and running. They're killing it. Mark my words, Withpar, everybody's going to be using it.
Withpar, ripping and running. Polls open. Who are we taking here? Tiki, over to you. Who do you think?
This is a really hard one because commission-free trading is something that I would even use. It's just it's so confusing for the neophytes in the space, and you get lost, and someone's selling you a bill of goods. That one's a good one, but so is analytics and what Elliot is talking about because of. At UVA a couple of years ago, they created a new field of study in data analytics. So we know that that's where it is, and breaking down those data points and making them mean something as opposed to having hundreds of billions of data points, which mean absolutely nothing, is going to be important. But we live, so Mac, I'm going with you because we live in a gig economy. Right? Nobody wants to go back to work because of what's going on with COVID. And so people who used to have steady 9 to 5s are now saying, well, I can do this, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And currently with Par is talking about drivers, but I can see this expanding to literally anything, right? What about the local plumber, right? Who doesn't want to advertise traditionally and spend all that money. He can get a gig on, what's it called? It's not Angie's List anymore. It's called Angie, I think. Angie, whatever it is, and track his production that way. Mac, you got my point again.
Mac got the point. Elliot has the fan vote over here. So we got one for Elliot, one for Mac, and we're going to give it over to Nahal. I mean, I want to know what's going on in the ocean. I think we know more about space than the ocean. So there's a lot going on. Nahal, like your energy. If I could give you more points, I could. I probably can. I'm not going to do it, but you got a point. Congratulations. All right. Mike Winkleman, better known as Beeple, made history when he sold an NFT of his digital art for $69 million. His new platform, We Knew, is currently auctioning off their first NFT the moment Andy Murray won Wimbledon in 2013. What are your predictions for the future of NFTs? And is sports the most exciting use case, or do you see a more attractive sector leveraging digital contracts? Nahal, I give you my point. Over to you.
Yeah, I think the concept of NFT has been around since blockchain was kind of created. And, obviously there's been a really interesting hype bubble recently in NFT. I think it's here to stay for sure. I think that it's a lot more than sports. I think what Dapper Labs is doing with NBA Top Shop and maybe some other leagues is epic. I'm an investor in a company called Sports Icons, and they use older sports figures as well and create NFTs to help them monetize. But I mean, if you look at, there's a Sports Illustrated model, right? Emily forget her last name, Ratajkowski, right? She sells her first NFT for $140,000 because other people are copying her likeness and she wants to take that back. If you think about supply chains like actual diamonds and seeing literally where they come from, put those into NFTs, into these actual tokens. So I think it's really early innings, and it's exciting what's happening. I'm glad there's a hype bubble to expose it, but we got a long way to go.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let's go over to Mac NFTs. Your thoughts on this, and is sports the most attractive use case? Mac, we're going to go over to you.
So what I would say about NFTs are they're amazing. They're really cool. But there's something that Hall brought up. He brought up Dapper Labs. Now, here's the thing. When Dapper Labs first came out, they were doing something called crypto kitties. They were these little digital cats that people could buy and sell and trade. That turned into what is now NBA Top Shot, right? We are so early in the days of all of this. We're so much in the infancy that we do not know all the different use cases we can get to. So yes, sports is a great one. Collectibles is an easy one to get to. But when we talk about collectibles, people are now doing purchase a piece of a collectible car, buy a piece of a collectible watch, buy a piece of a diamond, right? The ability to turn anything into an asset, right? These are just early use cases. We don't know what all's going to come out of this. We're way too early. My prediction is give us another 20, 30 years. We'll really see the power of NFTs.
All right. Shout out to Rally Road auctioning off those Lamborghinis that you're talking about as well in small little portions, $20 a portion. Lolita, what are your thoughts on this NFT bubble we got going on here and sports the best?
It's a bubble, but I definitely agree. It's here to stay. Again, sports is not really my jam, but it is a great application because lots of people gamble and play sports. I don't know anything about it, so don't ask me about the sports side. But here's what I can tell you. With the creator economy, with community-driven companies, what's really hot is this ownership economy. And what NFTs gives people a way to do is fraction off ownership of anything. Like literally, our imagination is the limit of what we can do with NFTs. And if you can create NFTs and everyone can own part of it, then you think about it from a community perspective, everyone owns the gains or the losses. And so you have this really engaged community. So flagging my community-driven company flag here, I think that there's so many awesome applications and ownership. The ownership economy is definitely here to stay, and NFTs will be one way of doing that.
All right, good points all around here. Elliot, we're going to go over to you, round it out. Thoughts on this NFT and sports the best use case?
Yeah, man. There was another ESPN show I used to love called Numbers Never Lie. And the reality is we're $2.5 billion in sales volume year to date, 2021. Versus only 13.7 million in the first half of last year. So clearly there's something happening. You can't really turn your eye from that. However, I think the most interesting use case that I'm following is actually in music. It's something that isn't being talked about a lot publicly yet, but it's happening. If you look historically, owning your masters, owning your catalog, just the kind of underbelly of the music space for the last 40, 50 years has always been a challenge. But these new music producers and new music creators can now own a lot of their digital assets through the blockchain and through different types of NFTs. And the last thing I'll say is because of the rights agreements, older artists from even like the early 2000s are now re-recording the stuff they did in the 90s and able to do it on a blockchain as NFT, and they can have full ownership and figure out who owns what going forward. So music is the number one use case going forward.
Music, I like that. Music with those smart contracts, they're always going to get that 10% royalty fee no matter when it's sold. No more, Sam Goody or whatnot, you're taking the 10%. Let's go over to Tiki. Tiki, what do you think about the NFT market? What's going on, and who's taking this point here?
Sports are very interesting because everybody gets obsessed with it and they like to talk about it. And we've seen the trading card and the memorabilia market go through significant peaks, but then they just crash and they disappear. Starter Sports is one example. It's local to me. They kind of hit a roadblock and then ultimately got acquired by Fanatics, which is now trying to revamp the exact same thing. And so sports is interesting, but it's going to be so cyclical that I worry about the valuations that some of these NFTs are getting. I mean, who the hell has $68 million to bid on something that's not even real? I'm giving this point to Lolita. I know it's more about the collective ownership. And the one example that was given to me when I was trying to figure out what in the F is an NFT, they were like, think about, there's many of them, but think about the Mona Lisa, right? The Mona Lisa is only one painting, but everybody has a copy of it. An NFT is exactly that, amongst many things. It's one of something that everybody has a copy of. So it's shared amongst the community. There's an ownership that is distributed amongst everybody, but only one person has the original. And I think Lolita hit on that. It's community ownership of a lot of these new, interesting, either sports memorabilia, music, art, or whatever else we can imagine in the near future. So I'm going Lolita.
Lolita's got it. Lolita's got the fan vote too, doubling up there. Unbelievable right there. Lolita, not to mention Tiki, let's keep you on for a second. I mean, Eli's got that NFT with Peyton too. So maybe he was the one schooling you up, but Eli's my guy. That Andy Murray NFT sold for $178,000. Obviously tiny considered Beeple did $69 million. We're trying to do a little bit of NFT with Elliot. If anyone wants to buy an NFT, money goes to Girls Who Code. We're working on that.
Who actually has that much money? Seriously, is this real money? Is this monopoly money? What are we talking about here?
I don't know. I don't have the money. I don't have the money. The crypto kings and
something from Mac. I know
crypto punks. Yeah. All right. So we have our points. Who's in the lead here? So I think we have Nahal. Mac is in the lead, and Nahal took the lead. Lolita and Elliot, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you didn't make the finals. Stay on, though. We will do a finals Q&A with everybody. But Mac and Nahal, unbelievable, making the finals. Okay.
I have a very high finals conversion rate, but a very low success rate in the finals. But I'm fine with that. I mean, getting to the finals is great by itself.
I appreciate you admitting defeat already, Nahal. It's okay. I understand where it's coming from. I've made the finals every single time I've been on the show. I've only won 3 of them, though. So, if you're going to give me number 4 already, I'll take the belt. I like the belt.
The money round, brought to you by First Republic Bank. If you were to join one of your portfolio companies as an employee, what would your role be, and what would be the most valuable thing you could offer your team? Nahal, we're going to start off with you with the highest conversion rate in the finals. Nahal, what's your superpower?
Yeah, I think it's got to be VP of People. For us, making sure we can empower everybody in the organization, all of our portfolio founders, with the right resources, with the right diverse opinions and diversity and innovation. They call me the human Rolodex, for a reason. Built up a network through many failed startups and some successful ones that I founded. But I think I'm, that's me, VP of People.
Okay, VP of People. Mac, what do you got? What do you joining the team in your portfolio?
Well, this is an easy one for me to be head of growth. I'm Mr. Customer Acquisition. I'm all about customer acquisition. I like the money. You get the money from getting customers. It ain't about chasing investors and all that stuff. It's about getting customers and getting partnerships. So bringing my Rolodex, bringing my unique perspective to getting customers. I have founders all the time ask me like, I don't have any money. How am I supposed to get customers? Well, for my first startup, the way I got my first couple hundred customers, I just tweeted at people, just use Twitter. For my second company, I just used Instagram. I just posted stuff about people, had them follow me, and then converted them to customers. I like coming up with unique things. I like creating partnerships. Head of growth. I'm the rainmaker. I'm here to make the money.
And you are the king of Twitter. Polls open right now. Who's taking this in the finals? Tiki, who do you got here? Head of growth or VP of People?
I gotta go with head of growth. I mean, Mac, that's a hell of a statement. When I founded Thuzio with Mark Gerson and Jared Augustine, Mark, who is a great entrepreneur in of himself and a fantastic businessman, he said, it doesn't matter what your title is. Everybody's a salesperson. Everybody. And if you're not, then you're in the wrong space, because otherwise we're going to stay flat in the water. So head of growth, strategic partnerships, when you're a VC or private equity or whoever it is, that's the most important thing that any entrepreneur can ask for. So head of growth, you got my point, Mac.
Head of growth. Fans take Mac, head of growth. We're giving Mac 3 points. That's a 3-pointer right there. It's heating up, on fire, right in the finals. I like that, Mac. Good job. Let's move on. The latest Russian-linked cyber attack is hitting records with a $70 million ransom. The focus on cybersecurity across organizations and governments has never been higher. What are the main issues for these companies being attacked, and what are you telling portfolio companies in order to prevent future attacks? So we're gonna go back over to Mac.
So here's the thing. When we start talking about cybersecurity, a lot of the issues that we're getting has to do with human error, has to do with very basic things. A lot of people are looking for these overcomplicated solutions, but one of the companies based here out of Baltimore called Deploy, what they do is they make sure that whenever there's a patch that's needed or an update needed, it lets you know that the patch is needed and then lets you know what it will impact on your devices. A lot of firms don't do the basic of just updating all of their software to prevent some of these simple issues. And so I think people are always looking for like a big, complicated one. Just something as simple as make the updates as soon as they come out. Do the security patches as soon as they come out, and be prepared for if any of it messes up any of the software you already have a way to look through it. Deploy, check it out. It's a Baltimore-based company ran by a Black woman.
Good shout out there. Good shout out. Update your software. Come on, update your iPhone too while you're at it. Nahal, what do you got with cybersecurity? Give us something good.
We've been way behind the 8 ball on cyber for years. For decades. It's catching up to us now in like very obvious scenarios. Like you get an email from somebody that you might know, but there's an extra T in their name, and they ask you to wire money or they ask you to click on this link, and you know what? Everybody's falling for it. And there's just not enough software at all of these layers that we're interacting through for protection. So for example, we invested in this company called Paladin. They help actually cyber insurers with their underwriting process. Think about that. There's insurance for cybersecurity because this is such a big problem. Cyber now has to be a part of everything that we're interacting with. Right. Including your email client.
Paladin's the shout out portfolio company there. VC funding for cybersecurity in 2020 hit $10 billion. Already 6 months into 2021, we're at $9.9 billion. Tiki, going over to you here. Who are you taking?
I think both Nahal and Mac made salient points. However, you call out, you shout out a minority-owned, women-owned vendor when places like JP Morgan and Credit Suisse and all these, that's exactly what they're looking for, especially given the social reckoning that's gone on in this country over the last 18 months or so. Mac, on the money, brother, on the money.
Mac's getting that point. It looks like we're split with the fan vote. It's we're closing it out. Looks like Nahal squeaked it out. Oh, Mac, I don't know, Mac. It's still moving. I guess we're gonna have to close it out, but it looks like Max stole that from you, Nahal. But I'll give you a point just because I feel bad for you. It's a sympathy point. It's not going well for you in the finals, but it's all right, Nahal. you'll be in the finals again. I don't know how far you'll go, but you're doing a good job. If you could start a company with one professional athlete, who would it be? Going over to Mac to start this one off again.
This is a pretty easy one. LeBron James, because he's the athlete who's not only an amazing athlete, but literally has a whole slew of folks beside him to run business. So like, if I'm gonna work with an athlete who does business already. It's just kind of seamless and works through, So yeah, LeBron James, like I'm gonna take the easy one. I mean, the man just made Space Jam 2. Like, come on. Is there anybody else you want to work with? Like, I want to meet Bugs. Don't you want to meet Bugs? Who doesn't want to meet Bugs Bunny? I'm going with
the jury's still out on the Space Jam. I'm a big fan of Michael's first one, but we'll move on. Nahal, who's your professional athlete you would start a business with?
By the way, I told my 6-year-old son that I once dunked on LeBron. He tells all his friends this, so please don't ruin it for him. I got to go with Simone Biles because what other athlete actually creates literally their own freaking crazy gymnastics routine and calls it the Biles? And literally blows up all the judges' scorecards at the same time. Also, she's been through so much, and she's still so young in her career. I know she's like super epically resilient. She's got more medals to win, of course, but she's got a lot more to do after her sports career. So I'm going to go with Simone.
LeBron and Simone Biles, two fantastic athletes. Tiki, I want to hear yours first of all, and then I would like to you pick a winner here.
I want to pick the winner first, and I'll tell you mine. It's LeBron. I mean, how can you not go with LeBron? I mean, it's marketing integrated like right away. All right, how many million followers do you have? 50 million, great. And he's gonna have 100 million after Space Jam 2. I mean, Space Jam 2 comes out. So Mac, you got my point again. You swept in the finals.
Man.
I think I would probably go with a guy, even though he lost today, and Roger Federer, because he's international. He crosses over. It's a sport that's he's not going to necessarily get overtaken by the next generation. And if that next generation does come, it's going to be, 20 years from now. LeBron, there's going to be great players that we're talking about almost immediately after in the NBA. That's not to knock him. He's going to go make $500 billion in his career because him and Maverick Carter have so much set up. He's going to dominate Hollywood just like he dominated the NBA. But I think I would go with an international player who has a reach it's obviously American, but it's China and it's Europe and it's India, it's everything. So I'd say Roger Federer.
Okay, good. That's a pretty damn good answer right there. I would, so I think the fan vote we got here, Simone Biles with Nahal getting that point. I think we're gonna go with Nahal, Simone Biles, but it's not gonna get him where he needs to be. So we're gonna give Mac another belt, man. Just another belt on your title. Congratulations, Mac is our winner. Unbelievable win against the champions.
Great work, Matt. Great work.
The final word.
Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. It was great to be here. I clearly don't have a speech ready, but since we did talk about the issue with NCAA with the name, image, and likeness issue, I want everybody to understand that the athletes now have the ability to make money on their own image and likeness, but they're still not getting paid by the NCAA, who is the ones making the money off of them currently. The schools aren't paying them. The NCAA isn't paying them. They just told them, hey, we're going to keep getting the billions we get already. If you want to go find some scraps or some money on the sides, go figure that out on your own, which is a step forward, but understand it's just a step. We're not all the way there. So please, 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 understand, don't let the shiny thing over here fool you. There's a lot more to get done.
Appreciate you watching. Be sure to follow us on social, check out the podcast, reach out to our partners, First Republic and the M1 Finance. Hit me up, I'll give you the direct link. Appreciate you, see you next time.